And good morning. Always enjoy my interview segments, especially with my friend Karen Onen, and she is from the RTCC, which is the
Regional Transit Coordinating Council, but that's under the ECRDC, which is the East Central Regional Development Commission. But my job is to work on the East Central Regional Transportation Coordinating Council. So my job is transportation. My job is pulling together all the transit systems in our region. And our region is Pine, Isanti, Chisago, Kanabec, and Mille Lacs. I want to make sure that everybody realizes that we're under the ECRDC.
Right. And I only like to bring that up, too, just so there's an understanding of that big umbrella. We've talked about that before because Karen's covering the transit, and that's what we're concerned about and talking about today. But they do a lot of things with business development and more. So if you need more information on that, don't be afraid to get a hold of them. Correct?
Yes, their website is ecrdc.org.
Okay, there you go. Easy peasy. I like it.
Many of you know of Arrowhead Transit. You see their cool gray and maroon buses driving around the region, and now they serve Pine, Chisago, and Isanti counties. They have a very robust, successful program. They have a huge area. When you think about that Arrowhead region, it's giant. So with us today, we have Brandon Nurmi, who is the Assistant Director of Arrowhead Transit. Thank you, Brandon, for being here.
Well, thank you for having me here.
Brandon, I'll just throw in here because I like to always get a little bit of background. So how did you get to the point where you're at now? A little bit about you, Brandon.
Absolutely. So actually, I started with Arrowhead Transit as a part-time bus driver. Throughout the last 12 years, I've moved up through the ranks into dispatch, into safety and training. At one point in time, I was a multi-county manager, and then a couple of years ago, I moved into an assistant director position.
When Karen mentioned the Arrowhead region, give us a little bit of an idea what that actually is, Brandon.
The Arrowhead region is actually a 10-county region in northeastern and east central Minnesota. The entire Arrowhead region from International Falls all the way over to Grand Marais is covered by Arrowhead Transit. We go all the way down to Aiken, all the way over to Carlton, down into Pine, down to North Branch, Cambridge, and the Chisago-Isanti areas.
Wow.
So basically, we have the whole Arrowhead region, and then with our new operations in Chisago and Isanti, we now have the whole east side of Minnesota all the way down to the 7-county metro area.
And you're in 2 RTCCs.
I am, yes.
Yeah, so there's an Arrowhead RTCC, and then there's the East Central RTCC. And we're just so pleased that Arrowhead has come in to do this because they're on the ball.
And we're very excited about the RTCCs in both areas. Mm-hmm. I don't believe we've ever had a coordination like this where we could collaborate with so many different transportation providers. Really brings new perspectives on how we can connect and interconnect all of our systems with other people's systems, as well as with the other volunteer driver programs and the other transportation opportunities for people in our areas.
No doubt. And we talked with Helen Piper from Timber Trails. And what I'm kind of wondering, do you guys have a similar model as far as picking people up? Do they call and you go get them, or is it more of a system and you go and you wait on the bus stop? How do you guys model yours?
So we model ours what's called a route deviation as a demand response. What that means is we have buses that go in between cities. They would normally be in those cities at certain times, but we do not have specific stops. So it deviates to people's front doors, to stores, to medical facilities, wherever anybody has called in that's within range of those routes. We'll go right over there, pick them up, take them. Our demand response is what's commonly known as our dial-a-ride. So people give a call inside of those dial-a-ride areas, and we would set them up on a bus to get picked up wherever they're at, going to wherever they're going inside of that area, and vice versa.
So how many buses do you guys have to cover this whole, we're talking, like you said, 10 counties or whatever it is?
With our new operations in Chisago and Isanti, our bus fleet has gone up to 127 buses. We have just over 200 employees just for the transit department. So we are actually a department of a larger community action program called Arrowhead Economic Opportunity Agency.
How long has that been going on? Because I recognize the buses now, like Karen mentioned, but I don't know if I remember dates back how long this has been going on.
So Arrowhead Transit started in 1974.
It's been that long, really?
Yes.
Okay.
We, of course, started as a smaller organization under a area of aging grant for senior rides, and since then have expanded out into a full-blown public transit system. And we're still continuing to grow.
There must be like a main hub then. Where would you guys consider, like where the buses are maintained and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so our main agency is headquartered in Virginia, Minnesota, and then Gilbert, Minnesota is where our main bus garage and our centralized dispatch and our centralized maintenance facility is located.
Okay, out of Gilbert, then it just fans out from there to go to all the different routes.
Yeah, we have individual garages in all of our different counties.
You do.
To house the buses that we have there.
Must be something to coordinate when people, like especially the dial-a-ride and that kind of thing. Is that it's all real people that answer phones, or how does it work?
Yep, so we have a call queue system where people call in, has what county that you live in as the option to select,
Sure.
and then you talk to a live dispatcher. Since we do day of ride requests, there's usually a small negotiating that goes along with each ride so that we can get people as close to their appointment times as that we have available for them.
What a great service, right, Karen?
Right. And they're new in
Right.
Chisago and Isanti counties. And Pine, you started in 2 years ago, a year ago?
No, we started in Pine, I want to say 7 years ago.
Was
Don't
it?
quote me on that, but it was right around somewhere between 7 and 9 years ago.
So it's
Okay.
been a service that's been around a little while in the scheme of things, you know. And we talked about connectedness. One of the main things Karen wants to do through the RTCC is to have it at one time. I think her dream, along with all the people dealing with transportation, is to have everything covered for everybody at some point, so people can stay independent, stay in their homes. Mobility isn't an issue. All the above, right? Check all the boxes.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That's what this is all about. So somebody listening this morning that maybe knows of someone or they themselves need this kind of a ride and maybe had never thought about it. Is there website, phone number? What's the best route for people to go?
Yes, Arrowhead Transit has its own website, www.arrowheadtransit.com. We have a comments section underneath Contact Us where people can give suggestions on where services may be needed. We are continuously looking at expanding services and reaching areas that don't currently have service. So on a semi-regular basis in all of our areas, we are doing surveys. We have a transit advisory committee that gives us some input from other agencies on how we can expand transit systems and provide access to people that don't have access at this point.
Can they also call a phone number? Or do they have to go through the website?
They can definitely call the transit managers in those areas. In that same call tree, after the counties, there's an option to talk to office staff or a supervisor. And in those options, it says which supervisor area.
Okay.
And then you can leave a message with that manager as well. So the Arrowhead Transit number is 1-800-862-0175. And then each area has its own option in
From
the call
there.
tree.
I want to mention it one more time. It's 1-800-862-0175.
Do you guys have a need for drivers?
So we always have a need for drivers.
Okay.
Especially now with our new operations in Chisago and Isanti. We're trying to rebuild the driver fleet in that area. So there is a very great need for additional drivers in those areas.
So are you talking bus drivers?
Bus drivers. We also have a need for volunteer drivers for our medical rides program in Chisago and Isanti. After taking over operations there, our medical rides program also has started offering rides through the insurance companies in those areas.
Do you have to have a CDL, a special license, to be a driver?
So you do have to have a CDL to be a bus driver.
Okay.
However, we do provide the training, the bus, and we'll get any potential applicant to the test, and it's all paid.
That's really nice, because to get your CDL is a big deal, and there is a cost, and for the person getting that. So that is an incentive right there alone. As far as providers, I know we talked a little bit with Helen last week again about like the GIS mapping and all that. How does that fit into what you guys are doing at Arrowhead?
So once we have the GIS mapping in place, what that's going to do for us is really give us a great idea of where the gaps in the transportation are. It helps us to focus on how we can get access to the areas that don't have access and where some of our greatest needs are. And then between us and the other transit systems in the area, we should be able to coordinate something where we can at least provide some access to people that currently don't have any.
Yeah, and if you look at what Brandon has done now, he has connected Chisago and Isanti County now easily can get up to Duluth.
Exactly.
And also there's been talk with Met Council with how we can connect so that people can get around easier in Chisago and Isanti and getting down to the cities. This is just a win-win all the way around. And that's the point of the RTCCs throughout the state, is to get everybody wherever they want to go, not just in the East Central region.
And MnDOT, the Office of Transit and Active Transportation, has been doing a fantastic job of partnering with all of the transit systems, facilitating meetings between Met Council and Greater Minnesota Transit. Through some of their meetings, we are set next month to start talking with Anoka County about connecting our Chisago and Isanti transits with Anoka County stops and resources. And then we're also talking with a Transit Link, which is the transit company outside of Metro, but still in the 7 Metro County area, where we can start connecting with them at the transfer hubs to even greater expand the opportunities for the people riding transit.
It's fantastic. And I didn't ask this of Helen, so I'm going to ask you, Brandon. I know somebody listening is saying, okay, what's it going to cost me? How do you guys break down the cost for a ride?
So normally we have a base cost of $2 for anything that's going to be intercity. As it gets to be longer, then those costs increase by 10 cents, 20 cents.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
Depending on the amount of dial-a-ride service that we provide in the area, we base our dial-a-ride prices on the amount of service we do. So depending on what area we're operating in, it's anywhere between $1 per ride, and our maximum is $1.75 in our bigger dial-a-ride areas. And then we also have monthly passes available for our dial-a-rides, which would be unlimited rides on the dial-a-ride for an entire calendar month.
And now, Brandon, I wanted to ask you, how many of your buses are handicapped accessible?
We do not own a bus that is not handicap accessible. Every one of our buses comes with a lift, and we can accommodate any mobility device or any mobility needs. Our drivers are trained on assisting passengers on and off the bus, properly securing mobility devices, and the basics of disability awareness.
And then the volunteer drivers, there are volunteer drivers available, but there's always the need for volunteer drivers, and you can contact Arrowhead. And Brendan, you may want to mention how, if they want to drive, what do they need to do?
We do have a section on our website for becoming a volunteer driver, and all of the information for contacting our volunteer driver program would be located there, www.arrowheadtransit.com. We have a plethora of projects that are continually going on, and we're always looking to do more projects. Just to highlight a couple, we are going to be piloting a couple of electric buses in our dial-a-ride systems a little bit north. We are currently in talks with a company that may be doing a pilot program for us for contactless payments in the Chisago and Isanti County areas. If that comes about, then we would be able to offer things like daily passes, cards, apps for being able to track and pay for their tickets. And then we're also working on piloting what's called a mobility as a service program. We're looking to coordinate volunteer drivers, local transportation, and the local transit agencies to create a whole trip experience with first mile, last mile coverage to connect people to the transit systems that are available from outside the areas that don't currently have connections to that. And we're hoping that if successful, we can start moving that in the next couple of years to some more of our counties.
That's fantastic. That's what it's all about. That's exactly what Karen and all the other RTCCs are doing in the state of Minnesota. So it's just awesome.
I got to say, Arrowhead, you guys just step up and you go.
Brandon, Nurmi, I thank you so much for coming in today and sharing this information. And anytime, Karen, we can have him back, right? I mean, not that you want to drive from Gilbert all the time, but maybe we can make some other opportunities for you down the road here.
I would be happy to come by anytime you need me.
Okay, I appreciate that.
That's
Karen,
great.
Anything else today, dear?
Boy, yeah, I think Brandon said it all. And
Okay.
if anybody has any questions or would like to contact me, I'd just like to mention, you can email me at karen.onan, O-N-A-N, at ecrdc.org. We also have a new website for transportation where you'll find a directory of all the available transportation out there. So you can even find the number for Arrowhead Transit if you'd like. That is eastcentraltransit.com. It's a new website. It's a new portal. So it's eastcentraltransit.com.
Okay.
And then my phone number, if you want to reach me that way, is 320-679-4065, extension 32. And if I'm not there, please leave a message and I'll get back to you because I am only in the office about once a week.
All right. I just appreciate everybody's time today. And we want to mention that this get-together is partially funded by MnDOT.